Hey, all right, let's do another one. One of my own, and then we'll start doing other people's ideas. But I want to talk about my ideas for just a minute. Quite a few years ago, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, I wanted to come up with a cup idea. So I went down to McDonald's, and I thought if I could piggyback on a McDonald's cup, how many cups would I sell? It'd be like huge. It'd be like everywhere. So I went down there and I bought the cups and I started playing with cups. I went down to my office at the time was Kinko's, and I started making these fun cups. And I started to imagine what can I do with the cup. And so I made these fun cups. I made mix and match cups. And I asked my wife at the time, could she set up meetings with me with all these big promotional advertising companies so I could show my brilliant cup I made at Kinko's. So that's what I did. I traveled to Chicago, New York, and I used to bring out these paper cups and spin my cups. And people looked at me like what are you crazy? What are you doing? I'm thinking I'm a genius, and they're like, can we get rid of this guy?
Like you had a third eye?
Yes, it was awful. Until someone did me a favor. In one of the meetings, someone said, Steve, have you ever seen how a cup's made, a paper cup? I said, well, no. And that's one of the major problems a lot of inventors have. We come up with an idea. We don't know if it can be manufactured. I clearly didn't. So sure enough, the guy was able to set up an appointment for me to see a manufacturing facility that made paper cups. And once I saw how a paper cup was made, I realized my idea would never be made in a million years. Impossible. Because this technology has been around for so long, making cheap paper cups so fast. But to make two cups with two layers of material that would spin and do all that kind of stuff, it wasn't going to work. So what do you do when that happens, you guys? You work on something, you spend a lot of time, effort, and your heart just breaks, right? So what did I do? Well, I just went back to the marketplace. I went down to the stores. I talk about that all the time. And I went down, and sure enough, now I'm at the Disney store in the mall. I love the mall. I love walking. In fact, I was just there the other day with my wife, and I love the smell of the mall even. I don't know what it's about the mall. I love it, especially at Christmas time with all the people. So I'm at the Disney store. I'm looking around, and I noticed that they have all these great cups and canteens at Disney, and they have sparkles in them. You've seen them. You move it up, you drink out of these cups, and sparkles do all this fun stuff. And I noticed that this plastic cup had two walls, two hard plastic walls. And the ideas that I was showing all these companies needed two walls. So I looked at the bottom of the cup, and it said Trudeau. And so I made some samples, called the company that was on the back of the thing, called Trudeau. Trudeau. Called them up, showed them my ideas. They loved it. They licensed it. Just because it wouldn't work in paper, it would work in hard plastic. Now what's really great about it, here's Minnie. Minnie's, you can spin Minnie, and Minnie can wear different outfits and things like that. Great. Sold for 5 years. Everyone they sold in Disney stores and theme parks around the world, I got paid. I love it. Did I have any protection? Zero. Did I have any protection on the Michael Jordan wall ball I showed you earlier? Zero. I got paid. Now, the story continues. Because now, I'm in Modesto, I'm reading an article about how there's never enough information, and I had this great idea, and I said, gee, I asked Janice, my wife, I said, hey, what about, since labels don't have enough information, what if I made a rotating label on a product that would give you more information? It's called Spinformation. It's a rotating label. I made the early samples, I made them at Kinko's, and I started calling those companies. Starting to get the green light. I didn't go ahead and spend all this money on production and didn't have a garage full of stuff. I called companies first to get some feedback. And the first company I called was a little company called McNeil. I remember I told my wife, I went home and said, I'm going to call this. I built a prototype at Kinko's. I went across the street at Walmart. I grabbed a product. I wrapped it on there, and I made a rotating label. I brought it home. My wife looked at it and went, what are you going to do now? I said, well, I'm going to call this company. She says, what company? I called McNeil. She says, Steve, you're an inventor. You're this wacky guy that works at a Kinko's. You're not going to take that call. Well, sure enough, I got in. I gave them my one-line benefit statement, and I sent them a sample. He called back, said, we love it. You have a patent on it. I got a green light. And that's what you need to do to get started. So from paper cup at McDonald's to hard plastic cups at Disney to rotating labels all over the world, you have to stay with it. Have fun, stay with it, learn from your mistakes. I've made them all, and hopefully I can share these mistakes with you so you don't have to feel the pain. Thanks.